Okay, we are live. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with this evening's news update, taking a look at some of the main stories as we normally do this Tuesday, 7:35, and of course the 15th of October. And I've said it once, I'll say it again, the year is flying by. So looking at some of the main stories that have caught my attention today, some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers, my voice, into the chat section also at the end of the live stream to see what is happening there. So if you are in the chat today, say hello. First piece of news, and the government is promising more money for youth rentals, basically to give people some help, some economic help in order to get into their first rental property to help them emancipate. They started this scheme, I think, a couple of years ago, and yesterday the Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez announced 200 million more in rental vouchers for young people. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez announced on Monday the allocation of 200 million euros for young people in rental vouchers, as well as the implementation of new regulations to prevent fraud in tourist and seasonal accommodation contracts. Sánchez made these remarks during the opening session of the World in Progress Barcelona, an international forum organized by the Prisa Media Group alongside the president of the Generalitat, Salvador Illa, and the mayor of Barcelona, Jaume Collboni. In his speech, Sánchez referred to the massive protest held on Sunday in Madrid. 22,000 attendees, according to the government delegation, 150,000 according to the organisers, demanding lower rental prices. The government listens attentively and shares their demands, assured the president. We will continue fighting so that housing stops being the business of a few and becomes a right for everyone, Sánchez emphasized, acknowledging that the situation is difficult because housing prices have continued to rise and the supply is limited. So the government, as I said, throwing more money at this problem, 200 million, because of the protests that took place in Madrid last Sunday, where people took to the streets to demand that the government does something to make rents more affordable. Intervene in the market, no doubt, is what people want, but the government seeming to be a little bit reluctant to bring in further intervention in that rental market, and deciding to subsidize with European money or taxpayer money the youth in this country so that they get into housing. So we'll see how this one plays out, but more money being promised by the government. What is the problem here in Spain when it comes to accommodation? Well, we can see here from the bubble to the great deficit, Spain has gone from building 600,000 to 90,000 homes. The housing crisis that has cornered citizens and ignited social unrest is largely explained by a massive imbalance between supply and demand. There are far fewer homes available than are needed. This tension pushes up prices both for sale and rent and frustrates the life plans of a growing number of people. Felix Lores, an economist at BBVA Research, summarizes the scope of the crisis. We are facing a supply shortage problem that we haven't seen in recent history. This diagnosis is shared by much of the economic, academic, and even political spheres. Juan Antonio Gómez Pintado, who this week stepped down as president of the Developers and Builders Association, APCE España, after nearly a decade, says that he has never seen such a complicated housing access crisis and understands the social unrest, especially among young people who are highly educated but have increasingly less purchasing power. The Bank of Spain estimates that the housing deficit to be around 600,000 homes, both for sale and rent. The situation is serious because homes can't be built overnight. Absolutely, that is true, but again, we're in this situation here in Spain because they haven't been able to manage the situation. We went from having too many homes, as we saw there, after that housing bubble back in the late 2000s, 600,000 extra homes, and today, not enough homes. So what's gone wrong? Why hasn't it been managed better? That is the question. Now, I know people are going to say, This problem is not unique to Spain, but this is where I am. This is the Spanish news, and that is the situation here. Next piece of news, and the government has spoken about corruption that is overshadowing some of the government's plans at the moment. A case popped up last year, I think it was, related to some events during the pandemic related to government money being spent irresponsibly on masks and things like that. And the government has come out yesterday and said that we can see here corruption cases cannot have a place in a democracy. The government's crusade against disinformation and the increasing polarization in public debate landed this Monday at the World in Progress Barcelona Forum, held in the Catalan capital, led by the first vice president of the government, Maria Jesús Montero. The finance minister also assured that Pedro Sanchez's administration will fight against two situations that erode the foundations of the democratic system. She explained that this will not only be done by appealing to values, but also through effective policies that address social inequality. Corruption cases cannot have a place in a democracy, she emphasized. Montero's comments came amidst the political storm triggered by new revelations in the Coldo case, which implicates José Luis Ábalos, a former minister in the government and a former secretary of organisation for the Socialist Party in Spain. And the whole issue here is just how close Mr. Ábalos and Mr. Sanchez were back in the day, because they were bosom buddies, if we can still use that term, and very, very close until Mr. Ábalos got shown the door, because the heat in the kitchen started to get very, very hot indeed, and Mr. Sanchez was afraid of getting burnt. But he might still get burnt as a result of this corruption case, but the government, they're saying that there's no place for corruption in a democracy. Well, tell that to the previous government, and the one before that, and the one before that, and the one before that, and maybe people will get it into their skulls that there's no place for this type of corruption in a democracy. Thank you. And the final piece of news here, the government is considering opening a migrant reception centre at Ciudad Real Airport. The Ministry of Inclusion, Social Security and Migration is evaluating the possibility of establishing a temporary emergency reception centre at Ciudad Real Airport, which is currently used only marginally for some private flights. This would be a temporary centre to provide reception services for people arriving on the coasts and transferred from the Canary Islands, the Balearic Islands, and other arrival points on the mainland such as Murcia, Almeria or Alicante. The government of Castilla-La Mancha has expressed concerns to La Sexta, stating that the centre might resemble a concentration camp. The ministry is conducting the necessary studies and analyses to determine the suitability of the project. According to reports provided to La Sexta, this airport in Ciudad Real has been closed since 2012 with no commercial activity, and to make use of it, the government is studying the possibility of opening a centre to temporarily accommodate people arriving on Spain's coasts. And the airport in question, this one here, bang smack in the middle of the country, one of the many white elephant projects that sprung up during the boom times here in Spain, when regional governments around the country thought that they were Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or Elon Musk with the money that they were throwing around, and the airport been sitting without use since 2012, except for a few private flights that come in every now and again. But the government coming up with the idea that maybe we could house the youth migrants that come into the country that we don't really know where to put them. We'll put them into this place in the middle of Spain, and we'll see how they get on at that former airport there, which, as I said, one of the many white elephant projects that sprung up in the late 2000s and early 10s, if that's how you say it. First comment here, this one from Square Woodworking. Whenever the Spanish government is in trouble, they always rattle the Gibraltar cage to divert attention. Well, that's just one of the many cages that the government rattles Square Woodworking. And if you're living in Spain, you will know that is the case. They rattle the Gibraltar cage. They throw money at certain issues. All of the things that they try to do to take the attention away from the real problems, the real issues. And when people hit the streets and complain because the situation gets so bad, we see that all of these smokescreens pop up around the country by the government primarily. They're on a campaign against disinformation, but I would say that the government, some of the government ministers have masters or doctorates in misleading the public with certain misinformation, or at least believing the same speech and trying to convince people that that is indeed the case. And a lot of people do believe it. But luckily, there's opposition parties and opposition press agencies out there that hold the government to question, and that's what the government wants to put an end to. One could quite easily come to that conclusion with this anti-disinformation campaign that they're throwing money at as well, where they're going to try and force publishers to, I don't know exactly, but highlight where their financing comes from. So a way of keeping them quiet, I think. Next comment here from someone, not sure who, but someone. Good meat does not need sauce. Salt and a bit of black pepper is all my chuleton needs. Well, if you've got a good piece of steak, someone, that is true. But if you've got a bad, dry piece of steak, maybe you need a little bit of sauce on the side of your plate, or a decent gravy to make it a little bit more, let's say, make it go down a little bit smoother. But here, the concept of gravy doesn't really exist, and other sauces not really there. And a few people saying in the comment section, we don't need sauces with our cuisine. Beg to differ, because there are some pretty shocking dishes out there that you do that a nice thing of sauce on the side would go down a treat. But that's just my opinion. Another one here from Shiny Things. I don't know if any village in Galicia claims to be Columbus's birthplace, but maybe they're thinking of Bayona, where one of his returning ships first docked and lives on in a life-size model in the harbour. Thanks, Shiny. Well, the village in question, or the town in question, is a place very close to Pontevedra city, the capital of Pontevedra province, as we know. Not the biggest city, but the capital nonetheless. And it's a place called Combarro. Now, it's very close to Poya, and they celebrate every year the Columbus Day. So we can see here the Columbus Day will be held on the 10th and 11th of May in Poyo. The festival highlights the theory of the Galician ancestry of the navigator, and to this end, the streets of the historic centre of Cambarro will be filled with colour and medieval animation. So there we go, and I think there's even a house there that the local council has claims to be the birthplace or the family home of Christopher Columbus. And there's always been a lot of mystery surrounding this man's origins. Was he Italian? Was he Spanish? Was he Portuguese? And it came out the other day, another theory that said that he's perhaps Jewish and maybe from Valencia. So I don't know. We could be here forever trying to work out where Mr. Columbus came from. But the people in that town in Galicia claim he's from there. So we'll add that to the story as well. One here from Sean. Hi, Stuart. Read decent bread. Marcus from Murcia is absolutely correct. To get proper bread, you have to go to the local village panaderia. What a difference. Traditional bread is satisfying, filling, and yet not bloating, and so much tastier. Definitely worth the extra cost. See if my voice holds out today. Thanks, Sean, for that one. Yeah, Marcus did say the other day that the only place to get decent bread nowadays is to go to the traditional bakeries, the panaderias, which in small villages still exist. In big cities like the one that I live in here, they have been replaced by supermarket bread, convenience store bread of an inferior quality. But again, people vote with their bread, don't they? That's the bread that they buy, so that must be the bread that they like. So other people that maybe don't like that type of bread or consider it cheap and nasty, it is becoming the majority. But if you want to find good bread, you can do it. You just have to search for a decent bakery. So keep an eye around. One thing I like to do whenever I go to a small town in this country, and I quite often hit small towns, as you guys know, I go to the local bakery and see what is on offer. Sometimes I'm disappointed, but sometimes I get a decent loaf of bread and other treats in those bakeries. One here from Moon Mist at the 33-minute mark, or nearly 34-minute mark. Wow, these young people are spoiled. They expect to be coddled by the government. So different from graduate students in the US and elsewhere. To be frank, the long siesta from 2 to 5 p.m. every day seems like a huge waste of time to me. Well, let's set a couple of things straight here, Moon Mist. The first thing is that not everybody in Spain is able to take a siesta. And the idea that you sleep as a siesta is not really true either, because for a lot of people a siesta time just means that it's the time that they're not working. So maybe they're working in retail in a small city that still follows these hours, and they have to come back at 5 o'clock. So the stores close because there's no one around. It would be a waste of time having your business open, because in the very hot summers, people stay indoors and they don't come out until the sun starts to go down from 5 o'clock onwards, 5 p.m. onwards, and the shops are opened late. So for businesses that maybe are owner-operators, you start at 10 in the morning, go to 2, have a few hours off, then come back and work until maybe 8 or 9. So it's a long day. So if you had to work from 10 to 9, it would be an 11-hour day. But in order to get your 8 hours in, you have those hours off in the middle of the day. Here in big cities, Madrid, Barcelona, people don't follow this type of thing, so we'll set the record straight there. And as far as young people, not everybody falls into this category. There are some young people that are out there working, paying for their studies, but a lot of people consider the university studies too heavy, too time-consuming, and they don't have time to work or get another job. And they, a lot of the time, study close to home. At least nowadays they do, because universities have popped up in a lot of places here now. Back in the day when there was, there weren't as many universities, people did travel to go to university, but that seems to be on the decline nowadays, I think, because of the universities that have opened up in the different parts of Spain. So, yeah. Another one here from Simon. Stuart, the reason I came to your channel was the excellent coverage of the news across various outlets. The move to the food blogs is an interesting diversion. But as a Spanish resident, I know this. We eat in Spanish bars and buy in Mercadona and Covirán. I guess it is a very difficult balance to have your channel to go one way or the other. Those that live here and those that want to live here. Love the channel. Keep on going. Yeah, thanks, Simon. I understand that there are people that come to this channel specifically for news, and I'm not going to stop doing news. I'm going to put it out, 3, maybe 4 times a week, but I'm not going to put it out every day because it wears me down. So I've decided to film other adventures for not only people that are perhaps considering coming to live in this country, or maybe coming here on holiday to help them fit in a little bit more, or know what's on the menu and things like that, but also for people living here to share the experiences, to get people's feedback of what the prices I'm paying here or the prices you're paying there are on the same page, whether you like these things, all of these things. It's called just variety of content, basically. News is still going to happen, but I'm going to mix it up a little bit as well. So hopefully people will enjoy both types. And if not, just don't watch the other ones. That's all. And the other one here, last one here from One Wheel. You seem to end up in areas without trees. Yeah, well, that's not my fault. It's just the majority of towns you go to in the Castillas, Castilla-La Mancha, the Toledo province, the Cuenca province, the places that I seem to go to because I live in the center, so these are the areas that I move around in, are pretty tree barren for whatever reason. I don't know whether trees come into urban planning. Maybe the local council considers them too difficult to maintain, whether it's a water issue, whether it's an aesthetics issue, whether it's a dirt issue, all of the leaves falling off the trees and all of the bird droppings on the ground around where trees are. Maybe it's just too much for the local council, so no trees. And the locals don't seem to complain. If you want a tree, put one up in your backyard if you've got one. But concrete jungles are a lot of the cities, and that's the way it is. Will it change? Got no idea. But as I said, Cuenca province, a lot of the towns, Toledo, a lot of these towns in central Spain, There's no trees. There's no trees. Now, into the the chat section I'm going to go now. Before I get there, I'm going to change the backdrop picture. Now, Barbara sent this one in a few months ago on her travels to Cabo de Gata, down there in Almeria in the south of Spain, Andalusia. And a photo of the national park, I think it is, down there. Spectacular scenery, a great place to see, plenty of things to do. Food's great down there as well. Almeria, recommended. Thanks, Barbara. And Barbara's also on the road currently. She sent me some more pictures through today, which I will get around to using. So thanks, Barbara, for those recent pictures that you sent through. People that have similar photos or information they would like to send my way, spainspeaks@gmail.com is the email address. Please send stuff through. I might not get back to you, but I do read the emails and take note of the things that you send me, and of course the pictures are used on the backdrop here. If you haven't hit the like icon yet, please do so. Just below the video you will find the little like button that says like below with the thumbs up, or the dislike button if you like, either way. And for people that have supported the channel, I'll also put that information on the screen as well, because without your support, this channel would go nowhere. Super thanks, super chat, buy me a coffee, Patreon, longer term supporters, and also the people that support this channel through membership. Thank you very much. And the other thing is the subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider it. It's completely free. Just hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and away you go. Now, into the chat section I'm going to get to. Just let me see if I can find it. I saw a super chat come through earlier from Marcus, €5. Thank you very much for that, Marcus. Chilling here on his porch, watching a huge moon come over Campo de Cartagena. Enjoy it, Marcus. Take a snap. Take a snap. Barbara, valued member 2, coming in from Cazorla, the owner of the... Oh, sorry, hit the microphone stand there. The owner of the photo in the background, currently in Cazorla in Jaén, 19 degrees there. Lovely part of Spain as well, Cazorla. We'll see some of the photos from Barbara soon. Pamela's also in the chat. Brief hello. Hello, Barbara. Ed McF1 coming in from Cornwall. Good to see you, Ed. Regular contributor in the comment section is Ed. Anthony coming in from Fairfield, California. Looking forward to visiting Spain in December. This time we are doing Barcelona, Valencia, Malaga, and Seville. 4 fantastic cities there, Anthony. You will enjoy those cities, no doubt. Sani coming in too from Spain today, Valencia. Back visiting the family, of course. Massive storm. Beautiful rainbow has been left. Thanks, Sani, for that. Hope all is well. John's in the chat as well. Coming in, pleased to report back in Spain. Bit cloudy, but nice and warm. Yes, that's the secret, right, John? That warmth that hits your bones as soon as you arrive. Sometimes it can be too much, but at this time of the year, probably comes in very, very handy indeed. Janet also off to Spain very shortly. Going to Seville tomorrow and visiting Trujillo one weekend. So looking forward to that. Yes, Trujillo, Janet, the city of the conquistadores. Everywhere you go in Trujillo, you are reminded of that. The people that went off to the Americas and claimed them for Spain. That's where those people are celebrated still. Osawakat coming in from Texas, 33 degrees Celsius here today. Beautiful sunshine. Good to see you, Osawakat. Stephen coming in from Wales, back there at the moment. At the weekend, Alex, looking like it may be warmer than I'm expecting it. We've had some rain down here in the Costa del Sol, which is needed. Still in Spain, back to Wales at the weekend, and looking forward to it. So sorry, I misread that message there, Stephen. Al in the chat too. Hello, fellow travellers. Having dinner guests in a rain-soaked 20 degrees Celsius El Puerto North Cruz Campo, having Guinness. Yeah, probably if you go the whole trip here, Al, without a Cruz Campo, you won't miss it. You won't miss it. Guinness, of course, a bit heavier than the old Cruz Campo. Amanda's in the chat too, coming in from a grey UK. Ezra in Marrakesh today and really feeling like a nice 4 and 20 meat pie for some reason. Yes, Ezra, 4 and 20 meat pie, eh? They were Victorian pies, I think. We didn't have 4 and 20s back when I was growing up. We had Bakewell pies, I think the brand was called. Then we had Mrs. Max came in a little bit later, and other brands like that. 4 and 20 got forced on us, probably when they went national. But growing up, yeah, didn't have the 4 and 20, but not a bad pie, I will say. Erica coming in, from Terrassa Grey there. We have a yellow warning for heavy rains. Always seem to be a lot of warnings in Terrassa when it comes to severe weather. But still dry, no doubt. Al's guests have arrived, so he's signed off. Richard, coming in from North Yorkshire. Dry, but we spoke to our friends in Pizarra, and they have had a lot of thunder and much needed rain. Absolutely. Very important. Jeff's in the chat too. Hola, ¿qué tal, Stuart? Hola, ¿qué tal, Jeff? Good to see you. Darren coming in from Sidcup. Jeff's coming in from Marbella today. Thanks, Jeff, for that. Dirk, Villajoyosa, Alicante, tomorrow to Valencia to renew his daughter's passport and a training of the Valencian minute 16 is that minute 16 selection or whatever that is there for was it rugby or something? Is it, Dirk? Thanks for that. Joe, comparing a migration reception centre to a concentration camp is insulting those who died during World War II who were in actual concentration camps. Probably right there, Joe. Tell that to the Castilla-La Mancha government who made that comparison yesterday. But you've got a point. Janet saying, indeed it is. Mick saying here, will you be returning to Cien Montaditos to try the rest of the menu? Yeah, don't think I'll be going back anytime soon, Mick. I normally head down there sometimes just for a quick snack. I've tried a lot of the Montaditos over the years. It's been around for a while, Cien Montaditos. Some of the other dishes I probably wouldn't try, I don't think. I'd go to a more specialist place. For the Montaditos, yes, but for some of the other things, maybe not. They could be decent, I don't know, but I don't think I'd have a salad at Cien Montaditos, for example, or any other type of... I think they have like chicken nuggets and things, but I don't know whether I would. Columbus, born in at least 20 places and buried in at least 6. What a guy. He got around, did old Mr. Columbus. Old Christoffel. What else? Mike. Let's have a look. Bob coming in here. We went to the Dominican Republic. We were taken to Columbus's house in Santo Domingo. We were in Genoa in Italy and were taken to another of his houses. How many did he have? Well, that's it. Bobby got around. He got around. Everyone wants to claim him. Seems to be that way. Janet saying, I'm always surprised by the number of trees in Seville. Of course, loads of orange trees, but for a hot, dry place, there's loads of greenery. Yeah, that's an exception to the rule, but the cities I'm talking about, or the towns more so, Janet, cities seem to be fairly equipped with trees. But a lot of these small towns, no. And again, the reason I've got no idea, it might be urban design, it might be, deliberate. No idea. 1, 2, 3. Keep the food blogs coming, Stu. Find them fascinating and entertaining. You inspired me to do a plato combinado for lunch. Forgotten how nice and simple lunch can be. Well, I went out today, 1, 2, 3, and filmed another video, and it was 2 of the 4 things I had were high standard. The other 2 not so much. So I'll be putting that video out this week sometime. Not sure exactly when. What else? Let's have a look. If I want trees, go to Galicia. Yeah, well, that's where they grow. They don't have any issues growing up there. But some of the Castilian towns, Ed just bought some coffees. Thanks, Ed, for that. I'll take advantage of that. I'm trying to hunt down some breakfast options. Somebody said I should try and find an English breakfast here in Madrid, or where I live. And I found 2 places that do an English breakfast. So I'm considering whether or not to fork out the money for the English breakfast here. I went in the other day and asked. I said, how much is it? And they said it's €11.50. I said, what? For an English breakfast, €11.50? And they said, yeah, but it's got bacon, it's got eggs, it's got beans. but it hasn't got any mushrooms. They said we don't have any mushrooms, so we can't do that. Then I found another place that does an American breakfast. Now, I'd never heard of an American breakfast, but it's similar to an English breakfast, but without a few things. I think it was scrambled eggs and bacon, maybe a sausage. So I'm trying to decide whether I'm able to pay €11.50 for an English breakfast when I could probably drive to Benidorm, and in fuel costs and food costs, it would be cheaper than that €11.50. I don't know. I'm trying to weigh it up. I'll see. But I'll put those coffees towards that. Ed, thanks for that. Let's have a look. What else we got going on here? Someone talking about football. What else? What else? It's the Arab influence. They love water and fountains and gardens. There we go. So the trees in the south of Spain, the Arab influence. Yes, because they brought, what does it say here? They love the water and the fountains in the garden. Sean the Prawn. Hi, Stu. Do you eat Spanish cooking at home all the time, or do you eat muesli and ham sandwiches? I eat muesli. Yeah, every now and again I eat muesli. I eat Wheat Bix also in the morning with a banana or something like that to kick my day off. Sandwiches, if I'm feeling a bit peckish, I will have a ham sandwich. I'm not against that. Or a roll. I prefer rolls, to be honest. Ham and salad. Throw a few things in there. But do I eat Spanish cooking at home? Well, it depends what you classify by Spanish cooking. I mean, I'm in Spain and I cook. Is that Spanish cooking? Or do you mean some of the more traditional dishes? And if that is what you're asking here, Sean, the answer is no. I'm not cooking cocido. I'm not cooking all of these traditional things because I haven't got time. There are some things that I do, but limited. And my Spanish cooking is either, my Spanish cuisine that I eat is either when I go to a restaurant or I go to my partner's mother's house or her auntie's house, and that's as Spanish as it gets, basically. So I'm not a huge cook, but maybe I could do a few recipes as well in the kitchen. A few of the things that I picked up from the suegra. What else? Let's have a look here quickly. $11.50 for an English breakfast is ridiculous. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. I looked on the internet, and on their website it said that it only cost €8 something, but when I went in, it said €11.50. So it's gone up €3.50 in the last 2 years. How they can justify that, I've got no idea. So I'm hesitant to go in there. I reckon I could find a cheaper one, to be honest. And that's about it. So, no more in the chat section here. So thank you very much, guys, for tuning in this evening. I'll be back again on Thursday with another news update, another live stream. Hope to see you then. It's been a pleasure as always. Hasta luego. Hasta entonces. Adios. Bye-bye.